Team Awesome is back!
That's right, Varian, who is back in the series. Today we'll talk with Team Awesome. Today we are covering Rapunzel's Return, and we have two very special guest stars after we are done reviewing the episode. I know that we said that we're going to do the premiere for this one, but we've got a lot of podcasts coming in the next couple weeks, guys. So hold on for that.
Yeah, I was going to say, just be along for the ride.
Yay! Tangled back! Tangled back! Us in content. I'm drowning. Help!
And it all hurts. It's all painful.
Yep. So before we begin our review, we do have two special guests in this episode, like I mentioned. So get hyped about that.
Yes.
Fast forward if you don't want to listen to the episode, but do want to listen to the two special guests at the end. Just announced.
Listen to the episode. We've got fun things to say.
We do. Listen to our podcast, dang it. That's why you're listening.
If you want to listen to the guests first, go ahead, but then come back. We've got fun stuff.
So first thing to just announce today, we are actually getting reruns of season 3. They are going to be starting on October 21st at 1 p.m. with part 1 of Rapunzel's Return. This means that the series will be on hiatus once again, so we will all have a little bit of time to breathe and catch our breaths and soak in these 9 episodes that we're getting in these 2-week span.
Sweet hiatus. One time we've ever been excited.
Yeah, we're all like, oh, thank God.
Came off of a hiatus and we were so ready for another one. Holy crap. With the return of the series, Ricky's quest has ended. The answer was Cassandra looking into the broken mirror in the tower in the quest for Varian. It linked her to her turn to villainy and to her lineage as Mother Gothel's daughter. There are 4 winners have been announced. Actually 5, because one was missed in retrospect, but they were also caught. And I have reached out to all of you on Tumblr, so check your DMs for a message from Tangled BEA. I think everybody has acknowledged it by now, so whatever. But yay, 4 winners, and I've sent you on your little ways to get prizes, because there are prizes for winning this.
Yes.
A reminder that the Rapunzel Mystery, or Midnight Mystery limited edition doll is releasing on November 2nd. She is limited edition 5,900 dolls. I think that's a bigger LE than has been
weird
before.
number, too.
Yeah, it is.
Like, what kind of that's odd. But anyway, so
just go for 6,000.
No.
So we've got the Ellie doll coming out on November 2nd. I think in England she's coming out on the 5th, but obviously they don't anticipate her selling out, or that wouldn't be the case. But now we are going to go on to our review of Rapunzel's Return. Rapunzel's triumphant return. Holy crap. Okay, so this episode is directed by Tom Caulfield and Shane Zalvin. It was written by Ricky Roxburgh. Thank you for all of the pain, Ricky. And this is the first episode that the first tentpole that he has all by himself. Like, no one else helped him write this. This is a Ricky thing. Storyboards were Isabel Geddick, Diana Kidlade, Todd Kurosawa, Anna Lencioni, Kait, Ritter, Wendy Sullivan, and Katana Vidani. We begin with a recap of the last season, with the beginning voiceover by Eugene. Again, yeah, are you sure that was Eugene? I thought it sounded like Andrew.
I thought it was Eugene, but...
I think it was Eugene.
Yeah.
Okay.
I'd have to listen now that you say Andrew. Maybe it was.
Eugene?
I mean, like, every time I've seen the episode, the first time I forgot to wear my headphones, and the second time it was on my TV across the room, so it, like, could have been Eugene, and I just heard wrong. I like it when it's Eugene, but that seems like something... Anyway.
It's Eugene pretending to be Andrew.
It might be Andrew. Who knows?
Who knows?
Mocking Andrew.
So we open into the episode, and we are on the other side of Cass's door from the House of Yesterday's Tomorrow. We've got this little mysteriously blue ghostly girl showing up, and she says that she wants to be a friend, or she's a friend, or she would like to be. And her voice is the one that drew Cass into the door in the first place. And we don't know exactly who she is. A lot of people are speculating that she's Zontiri.
That was the first thing I said. I was watching it with my friend Olivia, and I was like, oh my God, it's Zontiri. Get out of here.
That's the really funny thing, is it's like, I'm also seeing a lot of people speculate that it's the Moonstone itself.
Yeah, I've seen that one
that's
too.
That's a good idea. I like that too.
So yeah, there's a lot of stuff going on, but tied to Zontiri. Like,
wait, hold on. If it is the Moonstone, remember, the Moonstone talks to you. It gets into your head.
Yeah.
It tells you things.
Exactly. That's why I'm not completely saying it can't possibly be the Moonstone, because Edmund has
us around, and Edmund's there, and he's like, "Oh, you little blue loser." And Cassandra's like, "Wait, what?"
So she asked Cass to follow her, which Cass does for some reason. So that's odd all by itself. Like, this is really... I mean, the door was right behind Cass. She could have left.
She's like, I'll pass, thanks. And she turns around.
So it's like she's already being manipulated by this little blue spirit person, who is, by the way, credited as Enchanted Girl. So that's all we've got for a name for this character, is Enchanted Girl. And she is not voiced by Tara Fitzgerald. So that's another question mark right there. So they end up in this little cottage on island, kind of very Snow White-esque, which I agree with you, Ellie. She wrote that note, and yes, it is very Snow White-esque little cottage.
I was like, oh, it's Snow White's cottage. That's cute.
It's across a little river. It's got the nice little thatched roof, you know. The place feels familiar to Cass, and she and Bluey, or Enchanted Girl, or however you want to look at it.
I just called her Bluey. I was like, I don't know what to call you.
They enter it by phasing through the wall, the door specifically.
Well, yeah, sorry, I wrote wall.
That's fine. We hear a music box playing, and then this adorable little precious bean Cassandra comes into frame, and all of our hearts die because we're like, oh crap, this is actually her past, and we are now knowing that whatever was behind the door, it showed her past.
And that was the last moment before all of our lives changed.
Okay. Honestly, I will say that as soon as this started happening, even before Donna spoke, Kelsey and I were watching at the same time, and I was just texting her, no.
I know. I almost fell off my couch. I was like, Neil was like standing up in front of the TV with his hands on his head. He was like, oh no.
I screamed so loud. I screamed so loud, and then I had to pause, and I was just like running around my living room, sitting on my couch with her head in her hands, like, what is going on?
It's chaos.
And the funny thing is, it's like, so there are a lot of fans who have speculated that Gothel is Cassandra's mother, and this has been a speculation since the very beginning of the show, and I have... Everybody, yeah, congratulations and good job, because honestly, when you get a theory right, it feels amazing. And I am so proud of you guys for sticking to your guns and for not letting people like me talk you out of it. Because, like, I mean, I have not been quiet about not thinking that Gothel was her mother. I thought it was a cheap move. I, completely disliked the idea in every way, shape, and form. And I am going to give a lot of people a lot of appreciation and gratitude. I got so many people asking me if I was okay after this reveal happened. And I'm like, I'm fine. I mean, honestly, I watched the entire episode the first time with this knot of anger in my heart. I was really mad. I was really mad. And it didn't tint the whole rest of the episode. I really enjoyed the rest of the episode, but when I went to bed that night, I could not stop thinking about how angry I was. Like, I was furious that they chose to go this route. But then I went to sleep, and then I went to work, and then I came home, and then I took a nap because I didn't get enough sleep. And then I got up, and then I watched the episode again. And I can't say I'm fine with it because I don't like it, but I also can definitely say that it does not affect my opinion of the show.
Yeah.
It is what it is, and I will take that into consideration for all future references. Just like, okay, so that's the way the story goes, so that's the way the story goes. So I'm fine, guys. Thank you for asking. I really appreciate it. So yeah, Gothel's daughter. That's the big reveal.
That's the thing.
That's the thing. It's the thing that's real and canon. And would you look at that? Gothel's just a terrible mother in general. Like, none of us are surprised at all. Yep. And she keeps Cass hidden away as well. And I got a couple theories on that. The most basic of theories is that you look at the way that Gothel looks at Cass, and she doesn't really want her as a daughter. And if Gothel's going out, having a small child with her would draw attention to her, and Gothel has never wanted attention drawn to her while she's out and about. Yeah. She's just out to, like, do whatever it is she's doing. At this particular instance, though, Gothel is leaving to go try to cut a lock of hair from the new princess's head, because at this point the flower has been taken. So Gothel leaves Cass alone while she goes to the kingdom, and little Cass and big Cass sing a soul-crushing reprise of Waiting in the Wings to the tune of the music box, which little Cass asks, Gothel to whine for her, and Gothel's all like, "Ugh, why can't you do anything yourself?" And she's like 4. Yeah. She's got 4 fingers. Those aren't dexterous enough to whine a music box. Have you ever tried to whine a music box? It's actually guard. So suddenly we see Gothel racing through the woods on horseback. She's clutching the wee babby Rapunzel, and the guards are hot on her trail. She stupidly leads the guards right back to her cottage, but
I was like, Gothel, what are you doing?
same woman
I thought you were smarter than this.
who didn't change the princess's name or birthday, so who knows?
I know, but I still thought she was smarter than this. Like, come on,
No.
Gothel.
So as she realizes that, the guards are hot on her trail and the cottage is right there, she, instead of going straight to the cottage, she hides behind, a rock on the one side of the river, on her side of the river. So Cass, confused, calls out to Gothel, and the guards all cross the bridge. They go to the cottage to look for her. They kick open the door. Cass calls out to Gothel, and in classic terrible Gothel style, she cuts the rope bridge that leads to the cottage and runs off with Rapunzel, leaving Cass and the guards stranded. Cass is devastated, but the captain, who takes off his helmet and has his adorable forelock of curly hair,
He was so cute.
luscious.
a beautiful moment.
Honestly, the first thought, I'm looking out for you, but I was like, Abby's gonna love
Right.
Oh yeah.
Yep.
Oh, yeah.
Every time.
That's my thought too. I'm like, Abby. I will say that in this whole moment of me being furious, that was a beautiful little ray of light.
Mhm.
in my
You're like, oh, look at how pretty Cap's hair. It's now time to be angry
Mm-hmm.
again.
Pretty much. So Captain promises that she's safe with him, and he picks her up, and she's crying, and he carries her off, and he adopts her because he's a wonderful person.
Good job, Cap. You gained some points.
So
Running
Cass
for best dad. You're still
Cass just sobs, both her past self and in the present. She comes to the realization that Rapunzel stole her mother from her, and that Rapunzel's destiny should have been hers. But Cass, that's really flawed logic. Like, that's hella flawed logic. You can't have Rapunzel's son destiny because you were already alive. You're not the son. You're not. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
It's
I'm like, I don't know how Rapunzel has your just like the destiny of being raised by a terrible person. Like, is that what destiny you're talking about?
obviously, like, Cass is not thinking straight, and she's
Well,
only
of course
thinking
not,
in terms of like what she has lost because of Rapunzel.
Yeah.
Which is also flawed logic in general. Like,
Mhm.
I mean, I can't wait for her to get her head on straight. That's all I can say.
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
right now, she's
She's
dumb.
driving
I
me
kind of
nuts.
hope it probably won't happen, but I kind of hope Rapunzel just like goes off on Cass at some point. Like, Cass is like, you took my mother from me, and Rapunzel's like, oh, you want to play that game?
Mhm.
I had to endure 18 years of, mental abuse
Yeah.
at the hands of your mom. It was not my choice.
Back in the present, in the Opal Room, in the Dark Kingdom, Eugene and Rapunzel are just shocked by this revelation, like all of us. Like, we're just like, what? Cass states that this means that she is Gothel's daughter, and precious little bean Rapunzel states that this just means that they are, sisters. So, like, all the feels. Like, she's like, look, if we technically have the same mom, sort of, in a manner of speaking, not that Gothel was anybody's mother, but just then, Lance, who's the best guy in the world, bursts into the room and goes, so what did we miss? Which is like, Lance, come on.
What did I miss?
What did I miss? Absolutely. That's exactly where my brain went. That happened. That was great. So Rapunzel offers to help Cass. She demands to give her the Moonstone. I love that, like, Rapunzel's just standing up for herself. She's, like, not kowtowing or shriveling or begging. She's just being like, no, be reasonable,
She's like, give me the Moonstone.
But Cass attacks, throwing Rapunzel back. So it's time for everybody to attack Cass. So Adira goes in, but she's thrown back, and it knocks the Shadow Blade from her and gets left behind, and Cass just takes it, which is like, at least Cass got the Shadow Blade without killing Adira. Yay.
Oh, God, I was so happy. I was like, oh, that's how she gets... Oh, thank God.
Oh, thank God.
I was like, oh, that kind of was anticlimactic.
It was, but
It was also good.
breathing
It was good.
easier. So I was like,
So
it's so
like-
okay.
And so Lance is like, breathe easy, your Lance is here. I love him. Like, I love how, okay, honestly, like, she had her little moment with him in Destinies Collide, and who knows, maybe it'll be a little bit more later on. But right now, I love how one-sided this thing is, and how Lance, like, acknowledges that it's one-sided, and he's just like, no, don't worry, I'm going to pursue this. Full face, he's good. He's good. So Eugene goes in for the attack, and he gets thrown back, and I guess, like, his arm gets scratched in the process. I mean, they didn't really show that part, but it's relevant a little bit later. Cass runs past Rapunzel, who follows her and tries to talk to her again. And then Crossing the Line begins to play, and this is like an absolute banger song. And it's really, really
Oh my
painful.
gosh, it's so good.
Like, the way that I like to describe it, at least my very first impression of this, was it was like, for the first time in Forever Reprise, combined with Let It Go, but like if Elsa had done the villain line
Did
of
you see
thing.
the
Mhm.
awesome fan art that somebody just released like tonight? Yes, it's half for the first time in Forever Reprise and half Crossing the Line, and I'm like, yes.
Yeah, it's really good.
That.
It's really good. But other people have compared it to Defying Gravity. But man, sitting here watching this, I'm like, man, Cass is going full Elsa on us. Like,
Right?
I
Neil
guess
goes,
Eden
calm
wants
down,
all of it,
Elsa.
you know? Eden wants all of it in this role. She's just gonna follow her around. Okay, I'm gonna be Elphaba. I'm gonna be I'm gonna be Mimi. Not Mimi. Marine. I'm gonna be Elsa. I'm gonna be following behind Adina and picking up all of her roles. And
it was funny. A couple days ago, I was at work and we were listening to the playlist I have, which has all the Tangled songs in it. And Waiting in the Wings came on, and one of my coworkers was like, "Is this Adina Menzel?" And I'm like, "No, it's Eden Espinosa." And she's like, "Oh, that's why it sounds like Adina." Because, and I'm like, "Yeah, no, yeah. I know about the yep, I know.
Yeah, I know all of it. I know.
I know, it's fine. You don't have to tell me. I understand."
So then Rapunzel screwed up big time, and she asked Cass to just wait, which was like, Cass's trigger word is wait. She's
wee woo. Pretty much.
So Cassandra traps Rapunzel in like a cage of spikes. It's just she like blocks her path and kind of encroaches on her, but like isn't like crushing her or anything like that. But she definitely stops her forward advancement. And she flees, power balloting all the way. Rapunzel is able to escape, and she keeps following. But now this has become, Cass's song. It's like Rapunzel's not a part of this song anymore. So just as Rapunzel's about to catch up to Cass, Cass uses the Shadow Blade to destroy the bridge of black rocks that she has just created to get to the other side of the chasm. That, as you all may recall, was only able to be crossed by those trams that like Edmund broke.
Yeah, Edmund destroyed.
Thanks,
like,
Eddie.
Cassandra swipes at the bridge the exact same way that Gothel did when she abandoned Cassandra, and
Ow.
yeah. And it's also a bit reminiscent of the theme of the two of them running across the falling apart aqueduct, the bridge aqueduct in Tangled Before Ever After, with a big old full moon kind of centered on Cassandra. Like, the funny thing is, like, now it's like, oh my god, there were so many clues. But like, yeah, so yay. So we jump to everybody, like, it's just time jump ahead. Everybody's patching themselves up after this thing. Max is banding Eugene's arm, and he's like, gentle hooves, and it's really cute. And Rapunzel is suspiciously chipper, and by chipper we mean like over the top cheerful for what just happened, like manic chipper. Everyone else is worried, so Eugene goes to talk to her, and he remarks that she's doing that thing where she acts like everything is peachy, but it's clearly not, which, like, I love that he's just like, okay, you have these mannerisms, and I know what your mannerisms are. But she's clearly not, and she deflects, and she's obviously not ready to process everything that just transpired. Like, literally, he says, but Cass, and she goes, yeah, that was bad.
I feel so bad for her.
Me too. Like, this girl, like, does not handle this kind of stuff well. It also just reminds me a lot of, like, actually in the movie, in the tower, when Gothel would be like, oh, I'm just teasing, stop taking everything so seriously, and she, like, force herself to laugh. And you're just like, Rapunzel, her entire life has been forced to be cheerful when she wasn't happy, and I just like, hurt.
Yeah.
So it's like very sad. So they're like, okay, we need to leave. So how are we gonna get out of here? And Shorty's all like, well, we could just take that hot air balloon and no one's looking at the hot air balloon. And Rapunzel's like, that would be a good idea, but Eugene looks over his shoulder and he sees the balloon and he gets her attention and this balloon lands. And then Ulf climbs out of it in very mime fashion where he climbs it instead of invisible stairs and then like opens an invisible window. And it's very, very Ulf about the whole thing. So they're like, what are you doing here? And Shorty speaks fluent Ulf.
Here's
apparently.
the funny thing about that is literally seconds earlier when they all say Ulf, Shorty goes, that guy! and then he's like, I am fluent in Ulf. And I'm like, oh, now you remember his name? What the heck, Shorty?
And so Shorty translates for Ulf that Corona is in danger and they all need to come back with him. He followed the trail of black rocks looking for them and they all need to come back with him. And guess what, guys? This is exactly what I said was going to happen. Like, everybody's like, but how did they get back? I'm like, well, obviously, Ulf steals a balloon and follows the black rocks and finds them and says, and somebody has to translate for him. And so, anyway, so this is exactly what I said was going to happen. So they all get into the balloon, and including the horses. Adira's, Lance asks Adira if she's coming, and she's like, nope, my path is elsewhere now. I'm pretty sure that Adira's going to, like, try to stalk Cass.
Yeah, that's what I'm
Probably.
thinking.
Like,
But,
if
oh,
her-
God, don't hurt
that-
her, though.
Adira's goal this entire time has been to neutralize the Moonstone. Now that the Moonstone is on the move, she's either going to keep eyes on it, and Cass isn't looking for Adira. Like, she doesn't seem to be aware that there's probably an Adira following her.
Yeah.
And she's never been aware of, like Adira is so good that, like, when they were on their path in season 2, no one ever knew she was there until she was there, So I think that Adira is following Cassandra. And I think right now she's just observing because she's like, I got to see what she's up to so I can report back. I mean, I think she's going to report back. I mean, what else is she going to do?
Yeah.
And so Adira also wrenches Lance's arm behind him when he touches her without her permission. So, yay.
But I just love, I know it hurts, but I want you to know that no matter how far away I am out there, I'm never far away. In there.
In his heart.
My
He's
God.
so dramatic.
So cute.
I love him so much. And Edmund, Eugene asks him, coming or going? Just straight up, flat out, coming or going. And he says, how do I tell him that I'm not going to be able to join them? Okay, so just like, Eugene's awfully cheerful about leaving Edmund behind in the Dark Kingdom. I mean,
He's like, bye.
So funny.
he's still in
I was like,
in this bit of denial.
yeah. I was like, I bet they had to leave Edmund behind because he's too overpowered. Like, he'd come in and they'd get to the fighting with the Sapporians and he'd just knock them all
I know,
out.
right?
Be like, oh, well, I guess we took Corona back.
I'm always kind of amused when they have to find a way to get rid of the overpowered characters.
Just
like, have that person here, they'd win. Just
Yep.
straight up. That's just how.
Yeah.
Yeah. So.
Oh, man.
So they fly back to Corona, and it wasn't exactly like I predicted. Like, I predicted it was going to be like a montage of them flying over like all of the places that they had been to during season 2, and instead they do it like a map. And they just
I want that. I want that map so bad.
I want a copy of the map with all the details and everything.
And
I want that map.
It's in the style of the end credits from the movie.
Mhm.
Yes.
It's so cute.
Love it.
I was like, we're bringing it full circle.
Fantastic. So they arrive back in Corona, and they quickly notice an overwhelming lack of any people in the streets, to the point where when they call out, their voices are echoing. And soon Feldspar arrives, and he drops his bucket full of green crystals all over the ground. He reveals that everyone in Corona has been forced to work in a quarry, mining these green minerals, and that they were ordered to do so by King Frederick. So Shorty knew this info from Ulf, but he took the artistic license to make some judicious cuts when translating what Ulf was saying.
What a good line.
Shorty was like so lucid in this episode.
Yeah.
It was
Well, maybe there's no liquor in the Dark Kingdom.
maybe.
He's like,
There's
I need a
enough-
drink.
There's enough crazy in there already. We don't need to add alcohol into the mix.
You know what? Thinking of Edmund as a completely crazy teetotaler is fantastic. Just like a guy hasn't had a drink in, decades, and he's like this. Okay. So at the castle, Rapunzel's like, yeah, well, I'm going to talk to my parents about this. So they go back to the castle, and Rapunzel enters the throne room and runs to hug her parents, except they don't seem to know who she is. And it turns out that the Separatists of Seporia have taken over Corona. Welcome back, Andrew. So congratulations to everybody who guessed that it was Seporia, including me. Yay! For all of us.
Yay!
And congrats to Tom. Your boy's back.
Your boy's back. So I love this little moment because I kind of feel like it was done to remind other people who might not remember Under Wraps very well. Eugene's like, who are you? Like, I feel like I remember who you are. And Andrew's all like, I almost single-handedly overthrew Corona. I took you for a ride in my hot air balloon. And Eugene's like, oh, right, you're the less attractive than me guy with the man bun.
The man bun guy.
Man bun guy.
Oh, Eugene.
But it turns out that Andrew is not working alone. He has also acquired a little crew of Separatists, and they're like evil hippies. I swear to freaking God.
What does Eugene call them?
Flower children?
That's right.
Yeah, because I was like, same, Eugene. Same.
That had me dying.
I saw somebody make the comment, send them to art school, they'll be fine.
Oh my God.
Those are people I had to deal with in elementary school, and I'm like, yeah, they really are the real villains of this show.
But it also turns out that the other Separatists aren't the only people who helped Andrew. Varian also helped Andrew take over Corona.
Best reveal ever.
To everybody who waited to see him again. Varian is back. I am so happy to see him and his stupid little goatee.
Hey, you leave the goatee alone. I love it.
I love his goatee. I love it, and I love his new character design. I love that he's like taller now.
Yes.
I love it. Like extra edgy now. Like Mr. I put eyeliner on my mecha is now like dressed like this street thug with like a evil mask on his bandana.
I was like jumping around my living room. I was like, I love this Varian. I was like, he's so great.
So great. Okay, so quick side note. Beth pointed out, what the heck, Fred, you said you were going to help Varian. You threw him in the dungeons, and Fred continues to hold out the title for the worst dad ever. I actually have a thought on that. Okay. And my thought is that you can't, I mean, when they arrested him, he was dangerous. Like, he had just attempted murder, he'd attempted regicide, he had attacked the entire town with a mutant raccoon. So, like, he was dangerous when they took him in. And so I assumed that they put him in jail, but then they brought a therapist to the jail to talk to Varian. And so I imagine that the therapist didn't do much good at first because you can't be helped if you don't want to be helped. But then gradually Varian started to open up. As Varian started opening up, Andrew listened to the therapy sessions and got information. And so as the therapist was making progress, Andrew would undo said progress or like twist the progress in his own direction after the therapist left, such as like, oh, you feel guilty for what you did? Well, what if you could make everybody forget what you did, and then you wouldn't have to feel guilty anymore? Why sit in a dungeon for like years working on your issues when you could snap your fingers and make it have never happened in the first place? Yeah. So that's what I think happened. I think that Andrew manipulated Varian into this course of action, and that he was getting help, but it was just like two opposing forces working on this poor kid's head. Yeah. So now Varian has returned with his awesome alchemy in tow, as well as a new look that is adorable and ridiculous, and that goatee. I love the goatee. It's so stupid. I love it so much. So Clementine is this separatist. She wears a beanie. She has used the Aesoporian Wand of Oblivion to erase the king and queen's memory, and now Varian is their most trusted advisor. He is attempting to use the power of the wand to erase the memories of all of Corona, so he can... I mean, he's like turning the wand's power into alchemy, you know, the way he does. He'll take magic and be like, I bet I could do a science version of that. So he's using a formula that he named Quirinian, which he named it so that no one will ever forget that they betrayed his father, except the logic is super flawed, as both Lance and Eugene point out.
Why is no one using their brain in this episode?
Well, see, the thing I love about that is that actually just goes to show that when he is not fueled by rage, he's totally scatterbrained. Like,
Yeah.
and this has always been a defining
And
character.
also 15.
And yeah, 15, maybe 16 at this point, you know? So, yeah. Unfortunately, so now we're going to have, like, time to fight the Sapporians. So the gang goes in to fight, and unfortunately for them, Varian's alchemy gives the Sapporians quite an advantage. They glue Rapunzel's hair to the ground, so she can't exactly use it or do anything. Pascal slips on ice. Max gets caught in a giant bubble and is just floating around the room. Eugene's feet are stuck to the ground, and Andrew comes at him with a sword, and he loses his sword, but Lance comes to his aid. But unfortunately for both of them, Andrew has his trick up his sleeve.
Oh my
He
God.
takes down his man bun, and his hair is just luscious and flowing locks, and like total like Prince Charming from Shrek 2 moment. where
Yes.
Yeah, I was like, with soft and bouncy
Yeah,
hair.
and you know, Eugene's just like so much volume. And Lance is like so lustrous, and it's just like this is the bias moment for like all three of them. And then Andrew like winks and blows a kiss to them. So it's like, what's going on here? It's amazing. This is the most bi moment in the whole show. I mean, I'm sorry.
All of these bicons.
Nobody in Tangled is straight except for maybe Frederick.
I like how that was the. Oh my God.
So then the gang gets backed into a corner, literally against the wall, and Andrew throws a bomb at them, and they end up on the ground outside the castle, covered in rubble from the wall. They're hurt, but everybody's still alive.
He was straight up like, oh, this will probably kill you. And I'm like, Andrew!
Yeah, seriously. And a nice little moment to note is that while the Sapporians are looking down on them, they're going to go fetch some rope and go after them. Because this is one thing I love about these Sapporians. They're like, okay, they're alive, so we're going to finish the job. They're not like, we knocked them out the wall. We're done here.
Yeah, right.
So,
Follow through.
Down on them, and Varian is looking at them, and he actually looks troubled by what just happened.
So I was like, no.
So
sad.
that right there, if nothing else, shows that he is not 100% behind what he's doing.
Mm-hmm.
So the gang books it to Xavier's to hide. They're being followed by Clementine and Kai is big and loves aromatherapy and has a very soft, high voice. It's kind of I really love the Sapporians' designs. Like everything about them, they each have like a niche and a really distinct look and a really distinct voice, and I really liked it.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was cool. If they were real people, I'd avoid them at all costs. But
No, I don't want to be hanging around evil hippies. Thank you all the same. So, Xavier opens up a secret panel wall, and everybody runs into his like under like I don't want to call it a dungeon, but it's like his cellar lab. Like, and it turns out that everybody who has not survived, but has like gotten out of this attack from Corona, they're all hiding out of this bunker. And it's not a lot of people.
It's like 5 people.
You've got Freed, Morgan, Monty, and
Attila.
Attila's there, and yeah. So I mean, it's a very small ragtag group of people, which is good because they just added a whole bunch of more people, including 2 horses, and it's not a very big bunker. So. Back at the castle, Varian is working on his Corinian formula. Unfortunately for him, it doesn't erase memories yet, but it does explode and like start really pretty green fire. But
in true Varian fashion.
True Varian fashion. If my calculations are correct, my calculations are obviously not correct. But it does explode, and so Andrew and Clementine start getting a different idea for what this thing is good for. At Xavier's shop, Rapunzel has forged herself a new frying pan, and guys, like, I loved her forging a frying pan. Like, honestly, when I first learned that Xavier was going to be in this show, I was like, what if Rapunzel gets to forge something? Frying pan, I'm fine with it being a frying pan, and I just love that they actually did it. So her older one was destroyed in the explosion at the castle with comically frowny-faced shaped tear marks. So Eugene, being best boyfriend ever, comes to check on her, and she's still not ready to talk about Cassandra's betrayal. She can't even say her name. She just gets all mad and and Eugene being true best boyfriend ever lets her not talk about Cassandra,
Mm-hmm.
super duper good. So
He's like, okay.
but he's just like, you're not alone. She says under her breath, sometimes I wonder if it'd be better if I
I didn't like that line. I was not
I
a fan of
know.
that line.
I
I was like, you better watch.
that
I'm
hurts
like,
my
do you
heart.
want him to leave you? Because there's a line of ladies right here. We will pick him up.
Okay, you know what? Also, like Rapunzel, like the boy is one existential crisis away from breaking up with you again. So like,
So what did she mean by that? Was she just like she wanted him to back off?
so I honestly think that was her saying that she was going to go take back the kingdom on her
Yeah.
own.
Yeah.
That was her
That's what-
her key. That
I think that's how we were supposed to take it, but I did not take it that
No,
way.
because I was like, oh my god.
I was like,
Rude.
not.
well, also you have to look at. But you also have to look at how she's
fair.
feeling very hurt and betrayed right now, and she probably feels like she will inevitably push everybody away anyway.
Yeah,
Because people keep betraying her. So like, if she's already alone, then people can't betray her.
that's true.
But she does decide that it would be better if she took back her kingdom by herself. So she sneaks back to the castle. But Pascal follows her because he is best friend ever. Best friend. And there's this great moment of animation here while they're sneaking back in, and they just show like Rapunzel and Pascal's shadows on the wall moving in. Not really them falling, but they take the path into the castle that Rapunzel and Cassandra used to get out in Tangled Before Ever After. So I thought that was like a nice little piece of bookending.
Nice.
So while in the castle, Rapunzel's attempting to hide from the Seporians who are on patrol, and she accidentally finds herself in Cassandra's room. And she takes Cass's lady-in-waiting dress and just sobs into it, sits down on the bed and crumples. And she says, I thought she would always be here, which is like...
That broke my heart.
Oh,
Ow.
yeah.
I gotta say, I was a little triggered. I was like, oh, okay, I shouldn't be watching this in October. Thank God I have a friend next to me, because I'm
Aw.
not okay right now.
Mhm.
We will.
The moment was broken almost immediately when the Seporians find her and she gets captured. So she is now locked in a cell, confronted by Varian. He says he wishes it hadn't come to this, and does this cute little knocking on the bars thing. Like, I don't know, I love that little knocks on the bar. Well, I don't know why. He says, I wish he hadn't come to this, but this is what happens when you betray someone you trust. And Rapunzel explains that Corona needed her, and she didn't know how she could help she didn't know how to help with the Amber, but she didn't mean to break her promise to him. And I'm like, that's what I'm screaming.
Oh man, it was
Like,
so good to hear her say that.
so
Oh
good to
my
hear her say
god.
that after a season and a half, after 2 years of waiting,
Oh,
we got to hear her say that to him. And it was like, yay!
oh, it was so good.
Yay! It was so good. So he explains that his goal in erasing the memories of all of Corona is not because of what they did to him, but because of what he did to them. He fears that they will not forgive him. And so he wants to erase their memories so that they don't remember him ever hurting them in the first place. So this is why I think, like, Andrew placed that in his head.
Yeah.
Like, he's feeling guilty, and, like, he's taking a very childish way out, which I super appreciate because he's 15.
Yeah.
So like, I really love this. I mean, I was like so into this whole thing. It was so great. But the tricky bastard Andrew has changed things up. Instead of erasing everybody's memories, he's gonna nuke Corona.
Yeah.
Because as he puts it, with Rapunzel there, that changes the game. Because when they had control of the throne, when it was just the Seporians and Varian controlling Frederick and Ariana, they can make Frederick and Ariana tell Corona to do anything that they wanted, and they had all the time in the world for Varian to perfect his Quirinian. But it's just, I mean, it's not going to work now that Rapunzel's here, so it's time to go to brand spanking new plan B, which is to burn the city to the ground.
Yeah.
Using the explodey Quirinian, which is not the way that they wanted it to be. Yay. Andrew tells Varian that he doesn't want to end up on the wrong side of destiny, and so Varian decides to not end up on the wrong side of destiny and to go back to Rapunzel's side. He threatens the Sapporians with one of his chemical balls. Unfortunately, it is just a bath bomb that covers them all in suds.
Classic Varian.
So that doesn't really do a lick of good, and they toss him in the cell with Rapunzel. So he admits to her that he just wanted his father to be proud of him and that he would be so ashamed if he could see what Varian had done, which really shows like the complete breakdown of what we needed for him to do in order to be properly redeemed.
Yeah.
Like, he's just a sad little boy.
I loved at the start of this scene when Varian's all squished up against
Oh,
the
it's
side
so
of the
cute.
cell. He's just the squishiest little boy. And I
So
was like,
squish.
oh, I just want to give you a
so squish.
hug.
Squishy, cute little boy, and I love him, and I'm like, oh my god, I mean, like, I am so satisfied with this redemption.
They did
arc.
such
Like,
a good job.
every
Yeah.
aspect, I mean, a lot of people think it was rushed, but I'm just like, no, every aspect of it, I mean, it was perfectly timed. It showed that this has been on his mind for the entire time Rapunzel was gone.
Yeah.
Well, and I just
It-
appreciated the owning up to the mistakes, because I was worried that
Yeah.
it was going to be Rapunzel apologizing, and that was going to be it, and it was going to be like Challenge the Brave all over again.
Yeah.
But I was very pleased with how it went.
So
And it also, like, I know a lot of people were expecting Varian to still be as angry at Rapunzel as he was, but I'm like, he's had a year to think about
Yeah.
it. And in a year, you know, you can let that fester, but you can also, like, think about it
Yeah.
and be like, no, I'm not as angry anymore.
Yeah.
Well,
Which
you
is
also
more
have to
true.
remember that, like, in The Secret of the Sun Drop, he had a moment where you could tell he did subconsciously blame himself.
Yeah.
Because he was
Yeah.
looking up at Kieran and he's like, oh no, it's not my fault, it's not my fault, it's her fault, and just redirects his anger.
Yeah.
So he knows he did wrong. He
Mhm.
knows that this was not her fault all along. And so, also, in that same year, Rapunzel has gone from being afraid of him to not being afraid of him anymore.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
they have both calmed down a lot in regards to each other in that
She's
kind of-
like, oh, boo, I've seen so much.
Yeah. She's like, you ain't
Yeah.
nothing.
You're a 15-year-old with some little alchemy. I'm, yeah.
Bath bombs.
Wow. Yes.
You can make nukes, I am a nuke.
Yeah, right?
Pretty much.
So she confides in him that what he just did was very brave and that she knows what it's like to have someone you trust implicitly betray you. And she wonders how you're supposed to trust anyone after that. And he has to agree with her. They have
That.
this sweet little heart. It's like beautiful. And
I
then
was like, we will.
Yeah.
Eugene was having a rough time. I was like, okay.
But then the whole moment is interrupted by Eugene and Lance, who just come and pick the lock and get them out of jail.
Yay!
Because, the way Eugene put it, why would you go off to break into something without bringing me along? You know?
It's kind of my thing.
He's so cute.
Kind of my thing. So then, Lance stands in the doorway, this big looming guy, and just reaches out and wipes that little goatee right off his chin because apparently it was magic marker. So
Ye old Sharpie.
Yes.
the old shark. So his stupid adorable goatee was a stupid adorable fake goatee, which makes it
Thank
even better.
God.
That was the biggest betrayal of that entire episode for me. I was so sad. I was like, I love the goatee, and everyone's like, thank God it's gone. I'm like, what the heck?
Honestly, like, I'm noticing that it's like a line between Varian stands and non-Varian stands. Like, Varian stands and Varian fans.
Yeah.
Like, the stands are like, no, I hate the goatee. The fans are like, no, it's kind of great.
His little
like,
barcode.
honestly, I liked it too. I thought it was awesome. But I also thought that the big ol' wipe away was, like, fantastic.
It was
Like,
awesome.
So
like,
cute.
okay, y'all realize that this is the first time that Lance and Varian have actually interacted with each other is this episode.
Mhm.
Yay.
So the first time they interact is when Lance, questions his logic, and the second time they interact is when Lance wipes the goatee off his chin. So it's like, oh my gosh, Lance, in true Lance fashion, he is just stepping up and being Lance at Varian, and it's fantastic. And so then Eugene's like, you really think we can trust Hairstripe? And I'm like dying, because I'm like, oh!
Did you pick that up from Adira?
Right?
Did you pick
Well,
that up
he
from
did
your
in the
Auntie
first
Adira?
return. He did in the first return. He's like, I can do nicknames too, so now he is.
Yes. Thank you, Auntie Adira. We love you.
So now that they're free, they discover that the Sapporians are loading Quirinian into the huge ship. Like, it's this boat that's got 3 hot air balloons attached to it. Rapunzel and Varian decided they're going to attack the ship while Eugene, Max, and Lance go to rescue the king and queen. Which, like, we never saw exactly what came of that. We don't know what's going on with Frederick and Ariana, and we're not going to find out.
Maybe they just left them in the woods.
They're just
and that's
chilling.
why we haven't seen them for the last 2 episodes.
I really hope not. That would be like really irresponsible of acting king Eugene Fitzherbert.
Acting queen.
Hey, he didn't grow up a prince. He doesn't know how this stuff works.
He's doing his best in his cute little vest.
I went camping with Frederick. He knows what he's doing. So Andrew throws a barrel full of Quirinian onto the ship, but Rapunzel and Varian stop it from ever. Oh, I'm sorry. He throws it off the ship, not onto the ship. He throws it off the ship. Oh, wait. Oh, God. I love this moment that they're all like, before we begin, let's take a moment to center ourselves and really appreciate the moment. And I'm like, you evil hippies.
I got like the heebie-jeebies at that part. I was like, ugh, oh, God, why am I back in high school? Ew. Take me out of this.
So he throws his barrel of Quirinian off of the ship, and they're all waiting for the boom, and it doesn't happen. And then it turns out that Rapunzel and Varian, dangling under the ship, caught it in her hair, and they climb up, and they just set it down all nice and casual, and they're like, ha, missed something? And so, and Pascal is with them. And by the way, when he was in jail, they had him, like, in a single cuff, like a ball and chain, and they just had him tied to locked in the one single cuff. It was really cute. So now we're gonna have an airship battle. So Varian, the adorable show-off that he is, dribbles one of his alchemical balls, hits himself in the face, and accidentally bubbles Pascal and Rapunzel's foot. Which now Rapunzel, these bubbles, like, remember how I said before about how Maximus was like floating around the room? They like make things they bubble lighter than air. So now Rapunzel's hanging upside down by the foot, and her skirt defies gravity. And Andrew's an absolute monster, dangles Varian over the edge of the airship, getting ready to let him go.
Oh my God! I was like, I'm so glad we have the episode 9 description because
Bye, Varian.
I was like, oh my God. Are they gonna kill a child on Disney? I mean, they almost did a couple times, but
basically, Kait and Tom's fan things are coming true in this moment. It's fantastic. But Pascal comes in and he saves Varian, throwing Andrew off the edge. But Andrew also gets bubbled over the head, so now he's floating around like Sir Hiss and Robin Hood, being just a balloon head.
And also Pascal, he didn't die. Yay!
Yay!
So I was like, oh God, he's gonna die now. And then I'm like, oh no, he's fine. Never mind.
Yay! So then Pascal turns himself into a living pinball, and he knocks out all of the Seporians, and they all also get bubbled. So lots of bubbles going around here. It looks as though Rapunzel and Varian have won until Andrew floats up and cuts the lines from one of the balloons. So now the airship is vertical instead of horizontal, and everything is like tilting towards the edges, and
the
it's going to drop it all off anyway.
Full Titanic.
So in the forest somewhere, Eugene, Lance, and Max save the king and queen from Kai. He's got them locked in their carriage, and so they're trying to pick the lock on the carriage, and because it's in motion, it's harder to pick than normal, and so they cut the reins so that the horse is no longer attached to the carriage, and then they're standing at the top of the carriage, and it rolls up this hill, and it slows to a stop, and Eugene's all like, wow, couldn't get any worse than that. And then they roll to stop. He's like, usually when you say that, it actually does get worse. And while he's talking, they start very slowly rolling backwards.
Eugene.
They roll backwards, and they hit Fidela and Maximus, who are now in the driver's seat. And then Kai is freeing the horse because he's this animal lover who thinks that horseshoes are oppressive, and he's telling the horse that was previously drawing the carriage to run free, and then he gets hit by the carriage also. So then he, Maximus, and Fidela all put their feet down and stop the damn carriage, but Kai still falls off the cliff. But then they get the carriage open, and Ariana steps out, and she's just like, oh, are we stopping for a picnic? And they're like, are not just like, they don't just have amnesia, they're ditzy. It's like ridiculous how ditzy they are right now. It's fantastic.
I really like Amnesia Fred. He's way better than regular Fred.
Like, you, my dear, I don't remember.
It's so good.
It's so good. I love it. So then after this moment, we don't see Frederick and Ariana for the next several episodes. Go figure. So back on the airship, Varian realizes that if they heat the Quirinian, then they can get the remaining balloons high enough so that when it all explodes, it won't be in the range of hitting Corona.
They basically Age of Ultron it. If anyone's seen that. Hopefully most of you have seen that. I don't know.
Well, if you haven't seen that,
the Marvel
like
films are fun.
Sort of, I guess if you haven't seen it, it's like any sort of show or movie where there's like some sort of nuclear bomb or something, and they set it off way above the city so that it doesn't actually hurt anything.
Yeah.
So Varian offers to stay behind because he recognizes that this is his mess and he needs to clean it up. But Rapunzel basically says, look, I've got magical hair that will protect me and you don't have that. So it's your mess, but it's my kingdom. So she like lashes him up and yeets him off the ship onto a roof.
Very gently though.
She
like flops him.
Gentle
yeet.
yeet.
I mean, when he goes off the ship, he is spitting really fast, but then he lands
Yo-yo's hitting off the ship, but he lands gently, you know. So using the Quirinian, she's able to get the airship high enough, but it ignites and then explodes. But Eugene has faith in her, and he's like standing there having faith in her, and it's beautiful.
Oh my god,
and he's just assuring Lance, no, she's got this, and he's like, just got this. Oh, that look on his face, I love.
I love.
Wendy, did you board
that? Yeah.
I love when it explodes, and Lance is like, no, and Eugene's like, nah, it's fine, she's good.
Oh,
my
killed
I know, it's beautiful.
He's like, have a little more faith.
Yeah, I know, right?
Lady.
So between Faith and her magical hair, her hair protects her and she survives. But like midway through the fall, her hair stops protecting her, which I think is suspect because every single other time it has protected her until she hit the ground. So there's something up about her hair ceasing protection well before she was actually safe.
Neil goes, it wasn't enough faith. It's like that scene in Elf where the sleigh, where you have to believe she had it for the sleigh to play. Neil goes, not enough faith, Eugene, not enough faith.
Lance is too busy doubting it anymore.
Right.
Everybody clap for Rapunzel if you believe in fairies. You know?
I believe in fairies. I do.
Yeah, exactly.
I do.
But she manages to get herself out of the situation by lassoing her hair onto the turret of the castle, and she like just maypoles around it and runs around in circles and like gets down to the ground and lands, and Eugene's just, I knew you'd make it. And it was just like this great hug. It's like the best hug they've ever had in the whole series. I love it. Oh my god, so this fantastic hug. And he says it's all over, and Rapunzel says that no, there's one more promise that she still has to keep. So at the end of this episode,
popping bottles, y'all. Oh my god!
I'm gonna say that I loved this episode and I was fully engaged, but then this happened and I was just like crying. Like I was so happy for this moment.
I was so happy! What have I been saying this whole time? Kieran's alive. He's just in stasis. He's fine.
Yeah.
He's alive. I'm so happy.
Rapunzel goes back to Varian's lab and she reviews the reverse incantation to melt the amber encasing Kieran, and he is still alive. It's like, okay, so I have some thoughts. First of all, it was beautiful because she gave Varian a bucket of water and she warned him, once I start, I won't be able to stop, and there's a very real chance I could hurt you and your dad, so you have to snap me out of this.
Mm-hmm.
And he says, you can trust me.
No.
And it was just like, beautiful. Like, oh my gosh, that killed me right there. Just that you can trust me. I think that's about when I started crying, was when he said, you can trust me. So she starts singing the reverse incantation and she goes into full trance and it starts to melt and we can see that Kieran's alive, and Varian takes a couple steps towards Kieran, and then he turns around and he throws the water at Rapunzel and it doesn't snap her out of it. And he goes and he grabs her and his gloves disintegrate away. And I know that a lot of people have problems with this moment, but honestly, my theory is that the reason why he did not get burned is twofold. First of all, Cassandra grabbed Rapunzel's bare skin and Varian grabbed her sleeves. And second of all, Varian wears gloves that are rated for chemical burns.
Yeah.
And I protected him against magical burns.
Yeah.
So honestly, that's a big thing of what I
If
think
he had
happened.
touched her again, then yeah, absolutely. He'd have burning little hands.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, that didn't happen. And then, kind of like with her hair just stopping working while she was falling, it just kind of stops and she falls out of.
He says something to her. What does he say? He's
Don't
like,
give up.
I'm not going to give up on you. Which I feel like she says to him at some point, and that's what snaps her out of it.
It's so beautiful. It's
Also,
so beautiful.
all right, guys. All right. So Kieran's alive. He's back. I'm less concerned for everyone else in the Dark Kingdom now, because I was like, if they kill Kieran, everybody else is probably going to die. But Kieran's back. He's alive. All right. Now we got to have our Dark Kingdom reunion. I need Hector and Adira and Kieran and Eddie and Eugene and Varian. They're my little Dark Kingdom family. I love them so much. If I get a Dark Kingdom reunion, I'm going to freaking cry.
And Hamuel and Rudiger.
Of course, my Hammy boy. How could I forget? And Domino the horse. Who
And Domino.
we'll talk about the next episode. But
another thing that I really loved in this moment is that Varian goes to hug Kieran, but before he does it, he turns back and hugs Rapunzel first. And that, oh God, my heart, I'm just sobbing mess at this point. Holy crap. That was so heartwarming and beautiful, and I'm fully satisfied with this redemption arc for the boy, who by the way is back in his normal clothes and he looks like a baby again.
Hey, baby.
Funny how without the goatee, without the edgelord clothes, he looks like a baby. So he runs and he hugs Kieran, and Kieran drops the note, and the note gets absorbed into the amber. So Varian's like, Dad, I have to know, what did the note say? And Kieran tells him that all the note said was that he was proud of him and he'd always been proud of him. But the thing is, I don't know if I believe him, because there's paragraphs on that note. Paragraphs.
Yeah.
And they have implied that note is going to be important, and that was so not important, and I felt like that was a major cop-out. So I'm like, either the note is still important or they just had no idea what was on the note.
Yeah.
And so they just drowned it in amber, and they're like, it's gone. Oh well.
They said that, and I was like, wait, what? You mean we've been waiting for this, and that's what it said? I was
that was the other part that irritated me about this episode. But I got over that super fast. That's nothing compared to Gothel being Cassandra's mom. That's oh well, whatever, So but Kieran is back. Okay, so here we go again. Another absolute banger of a song, stronger than ever before. Which is now we get Rapunzel and Eugene's new outfits. Now we have Rapunzel, Eugene, and Lance being the trio, seriously the trio. And the funny thing about this is it's I have wanted Rapunzel and Lance to bond for the longest time, and while they never actually got a bonding episode, at least in season 2, you can see it's there now.
Yeah.
And it's beautiful, and I love it, and it makes me so happy.
It's the OT3 we all deserve.
You're not wrong. There is a ton of Tangled Ever After references in this bit, craziness. You've got Rapunzel and Eugene are walking down the aisle together from the throne room outdoors, and you've got Maximus and Pascal are chasing her crown around because they got knocked off the pedestal, so now they're chasing it around like they did the wedding rings. And you've got these topiaries of Rapunzel and Eugene, and Rapunzel's nose, or Eugene's nose, is made out of a cactus, so it looks like that banner. And there's lanterns in broad daylight, and
it's so perfect.
Even at the end, the last shot is Max and Pascal being carried away by lanterns, and I'm like, yeah.
So it was amazing.
My favorite part is still when he catches her and the lyrics are plans to make real. And I was like, what? I was sobbing.
No, it's not just plans to make real. She says.
Yeah, I know.
So it's oh God, they're gonna get married.
I was so emotional. I was like, I can't handle this.
Guys, we know they've been married for 7 years.
Doesn't matter.
I know, I'm so silly. You guys just crack me up.
I'm so emotional. I can't handle it.
God. And
Did we talk about the
Regina's
new
like
outfits
so
and I just missed
fine.
it?
No, we haven't.
I mentioned, I think I brushed past it, but like Eugene is like so hot now,
Ugh,
like
not
illegal
fair.
levels of hot
It's
now.
not
I don't
fair.
even know what's going
He's
on
wearing
with this
like
man.
the deep
Like-
cut with like Bastion's original outfit, and I'm like, yes, this is what I
And he's
want.
got this
If
gold
I'm not
chain.
gonna get full on shirtless Eugene, I'll settle for this.
Oh, I love
I'll
it.
settle
Okay,
for it.
and I know that people are divided on the gold chain, but my thoughts on that gold chain are seriously that is something for Rapunzel to grab and drag him down for a kiss
Yep.
with. So like, I'm
Yeah.
fine with that necklace. Also he's got like a thigh holster with a dagger in it. I'm like,
So good.
fine. Like illegal levels of fine. Like, and he won't stop this
Some
season.
of the
Every episode so
faces
far.
he makes in this scene too, I was like,
Mhm.
I don't think they can show what happens after this song.
I know, right?
We can thank Tom. for this
Right? Thank
entire
you,
sequence.
Tom.
Like,
Thank you, Tom Caulfield. We love you so
So
much.
good.
that wonderful little moment where like Rapunzel and Eugene are dancing and then he spins her off and Lance dips her.
Yes.
So
My
cute.
God, and then after that, Lance and Eugene like kick line their way.
Yep.
Oh my God,
Thing, it's so cute.
it's beautiful. I love it. It's fantastic. So this wonderful banger of a song comes to a close, and we find Rapunzel is back home in her bedroom. It's like the golden hour. The light is beautiful and fantastic. And Eugene comes in with a cupcake. And then Eugene remarks that he's happy that they can trust Varian again. And
We are too.
we are too. It's amazing. I'm so happy. And Rapunzel decides that she's ready to talk about Cass and what happened with her. And so as she speaks, it fades out and fades to black, and that is the end of the season 3 premiere. And we all
For a split second, I thought she was gonna say marriage, and I was like a second from
Yes,
passing
all
out.
right.
I was like, oh no!
My heart stopped.
I'm like, shit.
I like
Oh my God.
I fell on the ground. I was like, oh, thank God, I would have passed out. Like I wouldn't have been able to handle that.
Yeah.
Oh.
As of our recording this, there are already 2 more episodes out. We will be covering those 2 episodes in the next podcast, and then we will be covering the 2 episodes after that in the following podcast, and then we'll be covering the 4 episodes next week in 2 separate podcasts. So, guys, you've got a bombardment of podcasts coming at you.
Mhm.
Just
And then,
orange.
since we now know we're on hiatus, we're probably gonna take a little break.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah, because we're doing this like crazy whoa, and then we are gonna need to breathe.
Yeah.
Hey, it's
Depending
12:30.
on
The
how
new
long our
episode might be out.
hiatus is.
So before we introduce our special guest, we do have the announcement. I think I mentioned at the very beginning, but we are getting season 3 reruns. When the hiatus starts, they will be rerunning season 3. And I think that the reason why they gave us 9 episodes now is because Rapunzel's Return will be broken up into 2 episodes. So that means that they will have 2 full week episodes to go.
Mhm.
Yep. Be rerun as 10 episodes. So guys, we're getting reruns.
I hope our hiatus is
This is, like,
only 2
seriously-
weeks. That would be.
I know, right?
Oh God. I guess we'll know on the 21st.
Yep.
honestly though, I don't think that they are done animating yet, so they
Yeah.
need to like do some animation catch up right now.
Okay.
I don't anticipate it being like, I can't say for sure. I don't feel like it's going to be like another 6 months, but I also don't think it's going to be that long. Like, do you guys
Yeah.
remember when we had a hiatus after the return of Strongbow and it was like 6 weeks?
Mhm.
Mhm.
You know, so I don't know. I kind of get the feeling that
So-
that's going to be.
We could have the show going into 2020, which would be kind of amazing.
I think
Yeah.
I think I heard at some point them saying that it was going to be a 2020 show. So
Gotcha.
it's gonna
Good.
end in 2020. So
Too bad.
Yeah.
Too bad they didn't plan it out just a little better so that like the final episode could come out on the 10-year anniversary of Tangled. That would be beautiful.
Oh, that would have been amazing.
It's
would've
not
been-
going to happen unless they put us on a real long hiatus.
Mhm.
Like,
You have a year to wait.
yeah,
But
dump all of it, and then they'll be like, and now you get to wait many months for the finale, and we're like, what?
So the first rerun episode is going to air on October 21st at 1 p.m. We are once again getting the whole monkey's paw deal where they're airing reruns again when nobody's home, but they're doing it. So I don't know what Disney's up to. I don't know. Team Awesome. We would like to welcome Kait, Ritter, and Wendy Sullivan, board artists, on the show. Yay! Hi, ladies. So, welcome to Tangled Talk. Thank you very much for joining us. First off, Wendy, I want to thank you specifically for your amazing new dream moments. Holy crap! Yes. I'm still to be on the Corona walls ending. That is some of my favorite concept art that we've gotten from the whole show so far.
Yes.
Oh my gosh! Wow. Well, it's an honor to work on it.
Okay, so have you both been with the series from the very, very get-go, from the beginning? I know that Kait has, but have you, Wendy?
Yeah, I came in season 1, early season 1. They had started the premiere.
Yeah.
So I helped out just a teeny weeny bit.
Oh,
on
that's
that.
right. Yeah, you did Eugene proposing
in
the song.
Aww. Perfect.
You did.
It was Smoochie face.
Yeah, it was in the song, right? You did a lot of that. That was so cute.
Yeah, that was. And then Heidi Jo Gilbert, she did a lot of cute stuff in that one.
Oh,
too.
that's right. Yeah, Heidi.
And then, I think what was the first episode I did? It was Fitzherbert PI, right?
I think.
Is that what it's called?
I don't know.
Yes.
Yeah, the one where Eugene tries to join the Royal Guard.
Yeah, Fitzherbert.
Yeah.
Yep.
So definitely been at it since season 1.
In that case, it must have been quite a journey for you guys and an experience being there from beginning all the way to the end. You've had the whole range of what's happening.
Especially because, I mean, I don't know, I was literally on the first episode and the last episode.
Oh yeah,
and,
we did the last episode.
Both were arguably my weakest boards. But it's really crazy. I just remember when Chris and Shane, who was part of the show at the time, pulled me on, I was so excited about the project. It was just all the art that they had up, and obviously this big thing with Cassandra was some of the first that they pitched to me to try to see if I wanted to come on board, and I was so excited by that. There was some artwork. I don't know if it's out. I hope it comes out at some point, that Claire Keane had done of Cassandra.
Jeez,
with the heart.
All of an Ellie and I visited, so
it was that. It's this icy kind of blue portrait of Cassandra, and then her heart is just bright red, and it was this depiction that Rapunzel had made of Cassandra, just what she believed was still inside of her, and it was heartbreaking.
Oh my gosh!
But it's beautiful. So I mean, you too.
You hear that, Disney? Give us an art book. That's what we want.
Right? That'd be so great.
Please.
But Wendy is a huge Tangled fan. You were I remember being this girl, she's actually a really, really big Tangled fan, and I was so excited for you.
Yeah.
That's awesome.
No, it was a dream come true. I was a fan of the movie, and then found out that there was a show being made, and I was like, oh my god, how do I get on that show? And I came in for the interview, and they showed me some stuff, and they gave me the pitch, and I was foaming at the mouth, but not visibly. And just thinking wow, I really hope I get it, but even if not, I'm just happy it's being made. And then they called me, and they're like, hey, we want you on the show, and I was like, and then I had to keep pinching myself for the next 3 years to be is this really happening? It did. It really happened.
Okay, so was Tangled your guys' first experience boarding songs?
Yes. I was trying to think if I did anything at Blue Sky. It was nothing. I mean, obviously nothing compares to boarding Alan Menken.
Nothing compares. I was I think I did
if I did, it doesn't count.
No, not at that caliber. No, not at that caliber.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
What was your first song?
On Tangled?
On Tangled, yeah.
The Hook Foot song.
Oh, that's
with,
right.
The
little puppet show.
So inventive. It's so great. I love that. I mean, the Brothers Hook doesn't get a ton of appreciation. It gets the fans who particularly like that episode, but I really like that song. I mean, I can't explain why.
Well, especially because like Wendy and I were really into Overwatch at the time. And
Yes!
this voice actor.
When I saw that he did the song in the credits, I was like, oh my god.
He's my main, so I was like there for that.
Yeah, it's great.
Oh yeah, it made it 10 times better. Like you told me, and I was like, what?
I was like, Wendy. I was like, I got that excited. I don't know if he's actually credited or if it ever got used, but like Richard Horvitz is one of the Lorbs, I guess.
Way.
Yeah.
What?
So I was like, wait, what? Like, is this him?
That's
It's
amazing.
like a lot of like kind of weird casting like that every now and again where I'm like, oh shoot, it's that guy. Like,
You want like a very similar, like tangential thing. When I saw Wicked, I saw it with Eden and Gaz's voice actress. It was like, what? It was like, what? What am I
that's
watching?
crazy.
It's absolutely crazy. So I was like,
that's so cool.
so yeah, I mean that's a very amazing, interesting. I love voice acting. I actually had a brief period of my life where I wanted to do that until I found out it's not a viable career unless you're lucky. So then I was like, okay, let's try something else. But yeah, so that's really, so I guess it's something you guys have found you enjoy doing, boarding songs.
I miss it so much. I still do it in my spare time. Like I've been
good at it.
Oh, thank you. I have a couple little variant things with Jeremy Jordan clips that I've been doing. Just because I love Jeremy Jordan, just makes me so emotional. I think like obviously like that character and like the singing and just all of it. But I like the first one I ever did was Wind in My Hair. That was me and Tom.
Aww.
Oh, okay.
It's really fun. That was like the first. I remember being so excited. Like I like ran into Tom's office and we like kind of like wrote everything down like in beats, like what we wanted. There was this one that never made it in, but I still think about it sometimes. Where it was so it's nothing. It's just like this little beat with Rapunzel. Like she like was riding Max past like a farm and there was a scarecrow and it looked scary, and then she came back and like flipped the head upside down and it looked happy. And it was like, and you know me, like my Halloween, like I'm trying to put
Yes, that's so cute.
Yeah, but I miss it so much. Like I love the show that I'm on now, but yeah, songs, I think just like we're never gonna get to, I think about that all the time, like we're never gonna get to do that again, like just have a whole Alan Menken song to yourself.
Right.
I know. Like I think about that and I feel so fortunate. Like I can't believe that that's like a once in a lifetime experience. Even if you did get to work on Alan Menken stuff again, like you wouldn't have full ownership of a song. Like that just doesn't happen.
Yeah.
It's kind of nuts. So yeah, I mean I miss it hardcore.
And Kait, we must all bow down to you for everything I ever thought I knew. Oh my god. Oh my god. Thank you. From three super hardcore YouTube fans.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah,
that one was hard because like you always run that risk of like it's an emotional song for a character, but how do we not just make it them standing and talking? I know you had like that with like the cast song even. It's like, you know, you did the amazing thing with like you had like sort of the younger cast to work with and stuff, but it's, you never want to like just have a character walking around, and I was like, well, I feel like that's what this whole song is. But
It's Eugene though, it's fine. He can just stand there. It's fine.
Okay. I feel like we did the paper thing. That was one way to break it up visually, but there was a version of it that Tom and I had talked about. I probably was just too complicated to do, but also maybe, I think thematically, like him walking around the, broken down statues of his ancestors, like that was more important to the story. But there was a version where we talked about going inside a Flynn Rider book and sort of doing like a style change with like some watercolor pictures and almost sort of seeing him craft this identity through the years.
Oh my god.
And like, it's almost like he picked up the wrong book, like he should have been in the Prince book or something. I don't know. It was like very.
Ow!
It was
God, my heart hurts so
bad. it was like a really abstract concept, and I think we needed something a little more literal for the show, but it was fun I would have loved to do that version as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's such a good song. Zach Levi is so great.
Oh man.
Mhm.
And so, Wendy, you did Waiting in the Wings reprise. Is that what I just heard?
Yes.
Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Ooh.
I made myself sad.
Yeah, I remember, like, you and I just listened to the music box version before any of the lyrics were on it, and we cried.
Yeah. All I had was like this MIDI like file piano music.
box.
Like it wasn't even actual piano music. It was like digital, and all I had was that melody, and then
The lyrics.
the lyrics printed out. And then that's what I had to work with, and then just that was enough for me to just be like.
I think just like the context, like hearing her song, because that's that's like her song in the show, and like hearing it reprised and
The change where
yeah,
like
ugh,
adult
the
cast
pitch
comes
change.
in.
Oh,
God. Every time.
yeah.
Yeah, that was really fun to do, and that was like my first emotional song on the show. First and only, I think.
Was it?
Yeah,
Huh.
I think.
Yeah. I feel like I did so many songs.
You did a lot.
Kick-ass episode. Oh, thank you. I was always really excited about the songs,
Yeah,
but
man.
like, yeah, like I don't know, like I feel like compared to like a lot of people, like why? I just got so good.
Well, I mean, because you also touched on Next Stop Anywhere. I know you had at least part in that. And obviously you had all of Let Me Make You Proud. And
I had another one in season 3.
oh boy.
2.
Yes.
I had 2 in season 3.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Well, see,
I was-
honestly, though, it comes to a point where it's like people can recognize what somebody enjoys doing, and you're going to put more into what
Yeah.
you enjoy doing. So if you really like doing the songs, and they're like, here, Kate, do another song.
Yeah. I was like
Absolutely.
flinching because I like had a lot of action in season 3, and that's not typically what I go for. It was really challenging for me this last season. I also, though, there was a lot of really great comedy, and I feel like that's where I have my wings. So
Yeah.
like the comedy and the songs were always my favorite. Like that's the stuff I really liked to board.
And I'm all about the feels and
The
the, angst.
feels.
And the...
Yes.
The feels.
The romance.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
I mean,
what is each of your favorite episode that has aired so far? Obviously, you can't tell us about future stuff, but what has aired so far? We are all the way up to today.
Who's Afraid of the Big
Festival came out.
Yep.
So up to there. What's your favorite episode?
I feel like every single time someone's asked me this question in like an interview, it's never the honest answer because that next one's like right around the corner.
yeah.
My
actual favorite is
actual
not
all-time
out
favorite.
yet,
Yeah.
but
Is your favorite the same as mine? Is it the ending, or is it that other one that we were talking about earlier? Sorry, this is not answering your question.
This is very cryptic, Adira. Stop it.
it's so hard to
It's
pick,
okay. It's
though.
okay. I don't want to mess you up. And make this... Okay,
It's like, don't be a Tom Holland.
What? Have a tiny frog in your mouth? I think mine is. Oh God. I don't know.
It's like there's moments.
I
from
know.
A lot of them that
That's
I like,
the thing.
but, I mean, of what's aired so far, I'm not biased, but maybe I am. But I do like the premiere.
I was gonna say, I feel like that's my favorite too,
Yeah.
because I think that's where you get a lot of the things that we like. It's a payoff. It's a long time coming payoff for a lot of things. Like Cass, everybody had the feeling that she was who she was, and obviously we left on like that huge cliffhanger, so we're answering that right away. You get a huge gospel reveal right away. You have Varian coming back. You have Andrew coming back. You have Varian's redemption. Like, I just feel like there's so much. It's like so meaty, and the songs are awesome in that song. Yeah, in that episode. Like all 3 of them are baller.
Yeah, they're all bangers. Every single one of them. Like,
Yeah. I feel like probably
but I mean,
I think
Season
Yeah, and I
three,
have to
man.
say that
Season 3 is just the best.
the most fun to work on.
Oh yeah, no, I know. That's my other. I think that one's my favorite of season 3, just because. Yeah, because it was so fun. But I also think it's gonna be like a fan favorite.
Yeah.
I'm excited for that one.
I'm excited for that one too.
Yeah.
I am too. I don't know what it is, but I'm
Yeah.
excited for it.
You got me all jazzed up now. Woo! I mean,
Yeah.
I remember
I think
Kate.
you guys you'll know it when you see it.
I
Oh,
mean, I
no.
remember Kate way back before we actually had the show going yet. Maybe Tangled Before or After had aired, but not that the series hasn't started properly yet. And you and I were talking and stuff. And I remember you replied to something I said about like, well, strap in because it's going to be a doozy. And I'm like, oh boy, what are we in for? Is it going to be like a fun little princess show learning in the ropes of running a kingdom? Strap in, it's going to be a doozy? What?
Yeah, it's so funny. I feel like the show has subverted so many expectations of what it was going to be, or what some people thought maybe it should have been. And I think for me, like, the things I remember being like, this is different over were like, the concept of being between the kisses. Like, I always loved Chris's pitch on that. Like, I thought that was just a really clever, way to look at the storytelling on the show. And I also really remember the cast stuff. I really also remember Shane pitching Varian to me, and just like, he had said this thing that was compelling to me about like, I want him to be like, at the time he was a lot younger. He was like 11 or 12. And, yeah, he was like, it was like when he had like that Bastion from Neverending Story kind of look, and like he was like, I see him as being this like wide-eyed young, bright kid who's just a little too big for his britches, and hasn't quite grown into his britches. You know what I mean? Yeah, too big for his britches. Yeah. And so, like, I see him as being that, and then, over time, like, those cute little bangs, they start to cover his eyes, and he looks kind of different and dark, and, like, something's changed, and just, like, tracking growth like that in characters, like, over the course of a show is, like, I don't know, it's really cool. You see that kind of stuff in animated movies, but there's something about having the amount of time to breathe that television allows that's really appealing. You get it a lot with like shows that are serialized for like streaming and stuff, and like, I don't know, like living with characters, like that's the reason that I'm in animation, is because of characters. I love characters. And I think that's what the stuff of good storytelling is. And just right out the gate, from like the day that I sat in and they pitched me the show, I was like, these are great characters. Like, I'm excited about these characters.
And that was the whole reason I love Tangled.
Yeah, exactly. That was something that
Mhm.
you had to follow up with, because Tangled was so much about that.
Yeah.
So on the track of Varian specifically, whose ideal was the goatee?
I love it.
I think it was just Ben. I think Ben.
Oh.
And I was like, no. We thought it was real, and we were about to like go off. I think it was, though, is the thing. And then I said to Anna, I don't know whose idea it was, but I remember saying to Anna, like, you have to have Lance just like rub it off. Like, it has to be fake. And I don't know if that was like maybe just something, I don't know how it came about that it ended up being that in the episode, but like, I'm so glad that that's what it was. Because it's just, it's Varian. Like, he's a dork. Like, he thinks he's, this thing that he's not. Like, he would be just like Flynn. It's really cute.
Yeah.
He just wanted that UG set.
Like, realizing the secret of the sun drop, that he gave his personal mecha like emo eyeliner. I'm like, what the hell, kid?
I love it. Yeah, that's like his full edgelord coming out in that outfit.
I loved it so much.
Also, I don't think Ben advertised this at all, but I'm going to talk about it because it made me feel very special. But in the design, he has these little like gauges on his gauntlets that are like, I don't know, they look like little like pressure counters or something.
Pressure gauges.
Yeah, and like one of them has a K on it for my name.
Aww.
That made me really happy. I remember he like
That's
pulled me in
awesome.
and showed me that, and I was like so excited.
So we can all just look at Varian and go, that's Kate's boy.
I feel like that look is a very, like, I'm behind that look.
I
like that
loved
look a
it.
lot.
So good.
Yeah,
Nice
that's
upgrade.
fun. But yeah, there was also, that just reminds me, Tom in What the Hair in season 1 had this little I'm sure, I don't know if he's posted the drawing or not, but it was this little drawing of Varian, like when Varian was coming up with the whole Team Awesome thing, where he took like some soot from his glove and like smudged a fake goatee on his
Oh
face.
my gosh.
And Eugene was just like,
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
So I'm glad that came back in some way.
Yes.
They're both such nerd boys. They love getting along together. I mean, honestly.
My two favorite boys.
They're such good boys. So, you've kind of talked about this a little bit here and there already, but do you have any deleted scenes that you really, really wish had made it into an aired episode?
Yes.
Oh, I know it.
Oh yeah, you know the one I'm talking about. Yeah, mine. It's in an episode that's coming up, and I'm gonna post it for sure.
Okay.
Yeah, you got
Yeah,
it.
I was really really happy with it. And I think I just, it's one of those things where like you have an idea and you have a vision for how something, you see it, and sometimes that's just not what the want is. So I put a lot of heart into it. So I'm gonna post it anyway. But yeah, I totally was heartbroken that it didn't make it in.
Aw.
It'd be like that. That's animation.
It'd be like that.
Yeah.
They're either running too long or too short.
Yeah, they always got it. Like Anna, I don't know if you guys are on Twitter at all or saw, she posted this crazy thing with Varian, doing this experiment with the crystals, and like none of it is in the show. It's like beautifully boarded, incredibly thoughtful, and none of it. So sometimes you just do things for the passion of it. Like sometimes, so definitely I've got at least one or two. I'm sure you do too.
See, and the thing that I liked about that board in particular is that actually showed the crystals that everybody's supposed to have been mining, like what they were being used for.
Exactly.
So it's like, no, that actually tied things together and it made sense. And it's like, oh, well, no,
Well, and beyond that, I mean, even just like on the trail of it, like making sense. Like Anna, everything that Varian does is like actually achievable. She knows her stuff, and what she didn't know, she researched, so that she was like, well, Varian, he would do real science. Like he's not gonna not know what he's doing. Really funny.
I like the story that you told once upon a time about how her reaction to the Great Expectations, how she's like, that's not a new element. That's not how you make elements. That's sand. What are you talking about?
She was so mad. It's like, you can't invent a new element. That's not how it works, Varian.
What do you mean unobtainium?
Yeah.
It's a real element.
Yeah.
No.
It's just sand. She was mad because it was just sand. Varian found some sand and was like, look at what I invented.
Oh my gosh.
It's just glass. It's just sand squished together. Come on.
Yeah. I mean, at the time, you could just say you invented something.
Yeah,
because
he's a genius in his time.
But I mean, I'm going to point out to everybody that he literally gave Cassandra a glass necklace. That's all it was. So,
But it had heart.
Yep.
Yeah.
sea glass is cool, I guess.
Yeah, so.
It had really heart before he became bad boy. So.
Yeah.
So I gotta say that out of all the wild and crazy fan theories that have come true, what are you the most surprised that was guessed at by the fans, assuming it's something that's already happened and you can talk about it?
What was I the most surprised about? God, it's totally leaving my... There are so many things. Like, along the way that, like, I would come into work and go to Ricky or Tom and just be like, did you know that they know this? Like, how do they know this? Like, I don't understand.
Because
like,
we're good.
There were so many things like that. But I think the one that I always think about is Lance. How just, like, based on the name alone, like, it was like, everyone just knew. There's a There's a couple that haven't happened yet that I can think of, but I mean, Varian stuff has pretty much played out the way I think people hope.
Okay, but I do remember, Kait, that you had mentioned to me, like, I don't know, a year ago or something like that. You had said something about, like, fan art came out of a scene that you had just boarded, and the instant I saw Andrew take his hair down, I knew exactly which fan art it was.
Yeah,
it was.
I could shout out the artist because I don't remember who the artist is, but I love their stuff. And like, it was literally the day after I pitched that particular sequence, that drawing was on my Tumblr dashboard, and I was like, what?
Yeah.
What?
And the funny thing was about that is that when you told me that this thing had happened, but you couldn't give me any details, I was like, let me think about recent fan art that came out, and I thought it was going to be one where, like, they got home, they're walking down the halls, and they see Varian, and he's just, like, sweeping the floor, and she's like, oh my god, it's Varian! He's like, what's your problem? And I'm all like, oh, so it's going to be something like that. And then it's like, no, it turned out to be Andrew and his hair.
Yeah, it was like a whole joke that like I wrote into that scene, and I was like, wow, that's insane. Like it's so funny, like the appetite for things that the fans have, like how often it aligned with the crew and what we were doing. Like
just goes to show that the crew's actually fans of the thing.
Yeah, I mean, I think that's it. It's like we love the characters too, and we want to see them do a lot of the same things that the fans do.
Like we want the same things you guys do.
Yeah.
Well, that's good for us because then we get what we want. So hey, okay. So on the same vein, how has it been in general watching everyone's reactions to the new episodes as they come out? Like all so far,
the best. It's so good.
The best.
It's like the best part is just seeing people freak out. Like I don't read YouTube comments, but I'll read the YouTube comments on the Disney official videos, and like it's so funny. Like just like everybody like. Just so many. I knew it for Cassandra and like Varian. Just like, oh, I miss him. Like it's just like, oh, I don't know. Like it's the best. I love it.
Yeah, seeing all of the stuff and the work that we put into it finally paying off. And
Yeah,
people reacting to it. That's really cool.
You do so much hoping that people are it's gonna resonate with people and they're gonna laugh, and it's really nice.
Or cry.
Or cry.
Yeah,
mostly cry.
Mostly cry.
Yeah, I see all the crying reactions. I'm like, yes,
It worked.
Give me your tears.
Yeah, like I don't know about if either of you ladies worked on this episode, but I know that the three of us like lost our minds at the whole Edmund in the sash thing. Like,
oh my god,
it hurts so
like
bad.
literally, my reaction was, yes, Return of the King.
Oh, okay.
Oh.
I have not seen that since it came back to us from Mercury.
Oh,
I know who worked
so
on it.
good.
Phil,
That was Jeremy.
Diana. Oh, okay.
Oh,
Diana,
yes.
Phil, Alexa.
Yeah,
Alexa did a lot on that episode, actually.
I mean, but I gotta say, like, you need to watch that episode, especially you, Wendy, like, because if you're a fan of the movie, then this is like the episode for you.
Right.
It's like it's not just movie callback, it's just straight up a love letter to Eugene and the fans. It's beautiful.
That episode had me
dude.
crying at 6 in the freaking morning. I was like,
I was really surprised because I thought I was gonna cry, but instead I just felt like I felt so like loved and appreciate. Like I felt like I was like, yeah, this is why I've dedicated 8.5 years of my life to this man. Like, yeah.
Oh, that's so cute.
Thank you.
Yeah, no,
like,
it's
it was
wonderful,
just it's so sweet.
Yeah, and my thing was when the whole sash reveal happened, I was already pretty misty-eyed because, like, I recognized that this was the Stabbingtons' pass to the wedding. Like, they've shown up in a couple episodes, and I'm like, they are not making any attempt to redeem these guys. Why are they at the wedding? And then in this episode, you see the beginning of that, and I start getting all emotional, and then the sash thing happens, and I'm sobbing, and I go to bed, and I'm lying in bed, and I just burst into tears all over again, and I was like, oh my god, it's all happening! Oh my god! I mean, like, dude, this season is gonna kill me.
Yeah.
And it's not helping that it's airing in a bomb format.
Oh, just you wait,
that's
man.
true. Yeah, dude.
There's more.
oh, goodness.
Oh, yay. But also, at least we get, like, the hiatus coming up at the end of next week.
Bless.
Yes.
Like, I finally get to, like, catch up on my blog. I mean, it's crazy. So, what has been your favorite thing about working on this series in general?
I sure love drawing Eugene.
Yes. And we love it too.
Thank you so much.
You are welcome. Drawing all the characters have been a lot of fun. And it's gonna sound really corny, but the friends that made a lot of the way.
Aww, it's gonna be my first
Legit.
thing.
That's so great.
Like, I've met a lot of great people on this show, and Yeah, like I feel like they're friendships that are just gonna last forever.
Yeah,
now.
I mean, like Wendy and I didn't know each other before
Yeah.
Tangled, and like she's one of my best friends. Like it's Anna too, you know, like Alexa. Like there were just so many great people that we got to know. You know, Ricky and I still work together. You and Tom work together.
Oh yeah, we Tom. And
Shane and I now work together.
yeah, and Shane,
yeah,
we were board partners.
yeah,
so
you guys were. Yeah, still get lunch with Shane Pringmore now and again.
Oh yeah,
Love
Shane.
Priggy Smalls. I've been dropping that name like really casually lately, and everyone's like, "Who is that?" And I tell them, and they know.
Oh my
So it's
gosh.
just, like I feel like Bobby and I are the only two people who like just know who that is. But yeah, I feel like that's easily that and the songs, like easily just like
Oh, yeah,
the people and the songs.
Yeah. Yeah.
Aw.
It's been good.
Well, thank you very much, ladies, for being on our show. This has been super duper fun, and this has been a super cool ending to the season 3 premiere podcast for Tangled Talk. Thank you. Like, honestly, thank you for like all of your hard work. I know that like obviously neither of you are working on the show anymore for good reasons, but but I mean, honestly, watching the crew casually finish their jobs and move on to other jobs has been like both warming and heartbreaking at the same time, because it's like I'm watching the that end of the family like disperse and be like, oh god, it's actually ending because they're all leaving. It's so sad. But yeah, I mean, it's also been wonderful seeing what you guys are doing with yourselves, after Tangled, because it's like
I feel like everybody is like soaring after
Oh,
Tangled.
yeah.
Like I don't know, it was so sad. Like I was kind of like, I felt like my time was really split on the finale of Tangled, because I was literally half and halfing my time starting as a story supervisor on Monsters. So like I just didn't get to live with it as much as I really wanted to. But like that was like the hardest thing. Like I was really emotional during that time because I just wanted to give it everything I had. But I mean, I love where I am. I know you love where you are, and Tom's so happy, and
He's so
Anna's,
happy.
over feature, she's super happy. Like,
Yeah, we've all like grown up in a way. I don't know.
yeah,
Aw.
so too.
Like you're directing now,
Yeah,
like taking
I'm so
tasks.
excited. I was so
Yay!
excited. Like, I know this is
can't
about
wait.
Tangled, and I love Tangled very, very much, but I'm also very excited about what I'm working on right now.
oh no, by all means, go off on what you're working about now. Not like spoilery, but like legitimately,
Like, the thing that like Tangled and what I'm working on right now have in common in terms of like my level of excitement is like I had the realization on the show that I'm on right now, which is Monsters at Work. We're developing it's a Monsters Inc. It's a direct sequel to Monsters Inc. that we are developing for D+ in the form of a television show. So literally direct sequel, which is awesome because Monsters Inc. is my favorite Pixar movie. But the thing that I realized like this past like week was like, I was like, man, people are gonna get to see these characters for the first time, and that alone, just like that, just that, people get to see them. People get to meet them. Soon people will know, and like I was just so excited about it, and like just the way in which they get introduced, and like I've been so familiar with them, and like because you worked on the show, like I'm just like, shoot, like people are gonna come in blind to these characters, and they're gonna fall in love with them, and I remember feeling that way about Cassandra. I remember feeling that way about Lance and Varian. Like, so it's just like a really nice thing to have that feeling consistent at Disney. Like, and I don't know. I'm thrilled.
You're making
That's
your
so fun.
babies, and then you're sending them off
And
into the world.
Wendy is like super in her element. You and Tom, you crazy horse drawers.
Because we were waiting and waiting to be announced, and I was like, I can't tell anybody what I'm working on. I'm sorry, but it's so my brand.
Yeah.
Like,
I remember Wendy like pulled me aside at Monsters, because like Wendy and I have been working together for like 5 years now, and like I'm about to get my 5-year pin in April, I think.
Woo!
And like it's like we've been together for so long, and like so she pulled me aside and she was like, hey, so, and I just looked at her and I was like, are you leaving? And then she like told me what the projects were that she was slated for, and I was like, dang it. Like, they were so perfect for Wendy. Like, and you're
I'm
killing
living,
it.
man.
Yeah. But I think we're all really happy
Yeah,
post-Tangled, even though it was sad to leave.
it was.
Hmm.
But, like, I mean, this industry is so small, and like,
Yeah.
you realize, like, we're all gonna keep seeing each
Well,
other.
that's the thing. I feel like half of the people I saw every day, I see again, you
Yeah.
know, walking around or at Monsters, like, alone. There's a lot of Tangled people.
Yeah, and then on a different page, like, I used to be at DreamWorks before I was at Tangled. And now that I'm back at DreamWorks, I'm seeing people again.
Yeah.
that I haven't seen in like 5 years. So I'm like,
Yeah.
hey, what's up?
Yeah, it's wild.
It's crazy to be like.
Actually, yeah, Ken Morrissey works on Monsters, and he and I worked together at Warner Brothers on Smallfoot.
There you go.
So yeah, it just happens like that. Nobody's really gone. You never really like. Yeah.
It's always see you later.
Yeah, just see you later.
Yeah.
Well, once again, thank you for joining us, ladies. I'm really looking forward to the rest of the season. Yay!
Yes.
But I'm also looking forward to the hiatus. Yay!
Yes.
So we can all catch our breath and absorb some of these episodes that we've watched.
Breather.
And thank you guys for listening to Tangle Talk once again, and we will see you next time. Just so as a casual reminder, we're going to be pumping out these like every few days for the next couple weeks. So you'll hear from us again soon, and we'll talk to you guys later. Bye.
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 Bye.